Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining myself and Patricia Jones, another attorney with the Legal Aid Society, as we discuss the Tennessee Homeowners Assistance Fund and mortgage foreclosures. So thank you for joining us today. Patricia, you have any quick words?
I just want to say hi to everybody and thank you for joining us. And this is a really important topic this evening, and I hope everybody learns something.
Okay, so let's start. First off, I just want to tell you a little bit about Legal Aid Society of Middle Tennessee and the Cumberlands. Legal Aid Society is a 501c3 private nonprofit law firm that provides education and representation to low-income individuals in civil matters that wouldn't normally be able to afford legal services. There are about 440,000 individuals who possibly qualify and live below the federal poverty line. And those are the people that we reach. Here in Nashville, or Legal Aid Society in Middle Tennessee, we represent about 48 counties with 32 office attorneys in different offices. Some of our area practices are bankruptcy, consumer protection, family law, housing, which we're dealing with today, mortgage foreclosure, and tax disputes. If you want additional information, you can definitely go onto our website, www.las.org, and you will definitely see all of our areas of practice. Just keep in mind that today is just more of an educational piece. This is not to take the place of legal advice. And each case is different and would need individual attention. So if there is an issue that you may have, our number, 1-800-238-1443, is actually scrolling at the bottom of this presentation during the tickler. So let's begin. Patricia's going to discuss. Go ahead.
Thanks, Karin. So I'm going to talk to you all about mortgages and the mortgage foreclosure process. And before we get started, I want to just explain why this is really important. So over the last couple of years, we have seen a steep decline in the number of foreclosure cases, which is great. But the reason we've seen that decline is because there was the moratorium on forbearances that was entered in, let me back up. It was granted by Congress, and it basically allowed folks with certain mortgages not to pay their payments during the COVID pandemic. And that was great, and it helped a lot of homeowners out. However, that money wasn't just given to the homeowners and it was paid. It was just set aside. So those payments are still owed. And a lot of folks out there right now, they were in the moratoriums and they had these great opportunities to miss their payments, and because they weren't working or they were affected by the pandemic, but now those payments are due. So we've got to figure out a way to keep you in your homes. And Karen's going to tell you about a really awesome program where you can get some money to pay your mortgage payments that you may have missed. But before we get into her portion, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page on what is a mortgage, what does it mean, what is a foreclosure. So if you're encountering any problems, you'll be able to understand, am I in a situation where I need to act now? And if you find that you are in that situation, please contact us. A little bit later, I will share a way you can contact us through the computer. You can also call us at the number that Karin shared, and that's on the bottom of the screen. But let me get started. What is a mortgage? A mortgage is basically a legal transaction between a borrower and a lender or a bank. In a mortgage transaction, there are two documents. And in most states, you're going to have a note and a mortgage. In Tennessee, we do not have mortgage documents per se. What we have are deeds of trust. A deed of trust in Tennessee is the same thing as a mortgage in another state. And we use the terms interchangeably, but if you're looking at your loan documents, your closing documents, you want to look for these two documents, the note and the deed of trust. What is your deed of trust? That is the actual document that you and the bank will sign. It is a legal agreement. That agreement basically states that the bank is going to give you money to buy a house. But when they give you that money and you move into your house, they still own the title to it. And so if you miss your payments or you default on your mortgage, they will then call it due and they will foreclose. So that deed of trust really explains what your obligations are as a borrower. It tells you what your payments. Well, it'll actually tell you that you have to make your payments and when they're due. And they'll explain what will happen if a foreclosure starts. But the most important thing is to understand this is an agreement where you're saying, yes, I'm going to put my home up for collateral so I can borrow this money. The note is the document that actually says, I promise to pay. I like to explain people that a note is much like a check. When you sign it, you're saying, I'm going to pay the money. Just like when you write a check, you sign it, you say, I'm going to pay it. And your note will actually specify your interest rate, your payment term, when are your payments due, what are your late fees, all that really important stuff. And it's important for you to know what your interest rate is so that you can determine, is it good for me to try to get a lower interest rate? A lot of people have been doing that recently. But look at your note and see what your current interest rate is. If you don't know, I would really urge you to get that document out and look at it because it's important. It really is part of the agreement you've made with the bank. So what is a foreclosure? Hopefully, you go out, you borrow the money, you sign the deed of trust, you pay the payments to the bank, and at the end of the 20 or 30 years, the deed is in your name, you own the home. But if you fall on bad times and you start missing payments, or you don't keep insurance on your home, or you don't pay your taxes, you could lose your home through a foreclosure. A foreclosure is basically the bank's way of stepping in and saying, you haven't been making your payments or you haven't been living up to your obligations, so we're now going to take your home from you. In Tennessee, the foreclosure process is a non-judicial process. That means you are never going to be sued. You do not have to be taken to court for you to lose your house. In some states, you do have to go to court. They have to sue you before they ever foreclose. We are a non-judicial state. People lose their homes through foreclosure all the time because they think I have to be sued. You do not. It's a very quick process and it's very hard to stop. If you have received any notices in the mail that say notice of foreclosure, or if you don't pay this in 30 days, we're going to start the foreclosure process, you need to listen up to Karin here in a few minutes, apply for the fund she's going to tell you about, and then you need to contact us because it's a very quick process. And if you don't act and you don't take all these steps, you could lose your home. So how does the foreclosure process happen in Tennessee? Well, that deed of trust I was telling you about a little bit earlier, which is the same thing as a mortgage in most states. Well, in that deed of trust, they actually appoint a trustee. And that trustee's job is to carry out a foreclosure sale if the borrower misses payments or defaults in some other way on the mortgage. So that trustee, once they get notice that you're behind on your payments, they'll start the process of the foreclosure. And the first part of that is to do to certain notices. Now, sometimes, you take your loan out in 2010, here you are in 2022 and you get behind. Well, they will go to get that trustee, and that trustee is no longer practicing law, or they're no longer in that business. So then they appoint a substitute trustee. If you ever notice that a notice of substitute trustee has been recorded, that's a big sign that a foreclosure is about to start. They do not appoint substitute trustees unless there's a reason to do so. So if you get notice of that, or a friend or family member does, they need to really reach out and get some help. So once the substitute trustee does get involved, or the original trustee, the first thing you have to be given is personal notice. And you should get a notice in the mail telling you that you're at risk of foreclosure. It'll be an acceleration notice telling you have 30 days to pay what you owe, or you lose your home at foreclosure. It should be sent to you. It should be sent to the property address. It should be sent by certified mail, and it should also be put in the newspaper. You should receive the notice, and it should go in the newspaper at least 3 weeks prior to the foreclosure sale. So you'll have at least 21 days to act before the sale occurs. The notice requirements, they must contain the borrower, the lender, and the trustee's name. So that's the time at which you'll learn if there's a substitute trustee that's been appointed. It'll also contain a legal description of the land, the time and place of the sale, and information about any other liens that may be on the property. But once you get that notice, you need to act. Now, sometimes people try to be clever, and I'll give them points for trying. But if you think not opening your mail will prevent you from getting notice, or you think, oh, I just won't get that green card, I got it, but I'm not going to go pick up that certified mail, it's not going to work. That's still considered notice once it's mailed to you. So ignoring your mail is not going to help you in this process. It's going to hurt you. Now, there are ways to stop a foreclosure sale, but it's very difficult. And even when an attorney's involved, something has to be filed 5 days prior to the sale. So you can't stop a sale the night before through some legal maneuvering. The only way you're going to be able to stop the sale is if you pay the full amount due. And that may include amounts more than just the actual payments that you've missed. You've got to pay the full amount. If you pay the full amount, they'll stop the sale. Now, where do you think these sales happen? Or you may be curious as to where they happen. In a lot of counties, they happen on the courtroom steps, outside on the front of the courtroom. They can happen Monday through Saturday. I don't know of any courts in my area, and I'm down in southern Middle Tennessee and Columbia, that do it on Saturdays, but the law does allow it. So if you get notice of a foreclosure sale and you have the money, you really need to be calling before the day of the sale. At the very least, show up to that sale. Now, if your house is sold at a foreclosure sale, you may get sued for even more money, which is terrible. But if you borrowed money and now your home sold and you didn't pay all the money back that you borrowed, and they didn't get the full amount from the sale, well, then you owe a deficiency. So they're going to come after you to pay off the rest that they didn't get from the sale. So you really want to prevent foreclosure as much as possible. So I think my next slide is going to be how folks can contact us. Yeah, right here we go. So we'd explained a little bit about how you can contact the Legal Aid Society. One really neat thing we have for folks that may be facing foreclosure is that we have a foreclosure assistance screening. And you can put this in your web browser, go in, and apply for assistance from the Legal Aid Society through this app, if you will. It'll ask you questions about what notices you've received, what dates were on them, how far you're behind in your payments. Fill all that information out as much as to the best of your ability. include a good phone number, a good address. And if you indicate that you want us to reach out to you, we will. And, at the very least, we can give you some counsel and advice so that you can understand what the process is and what you can do to try to help yourself. But now I'm going to turn it over to Karin because this is the super exciting part of our presentation. There is money out there to help anybody who is struggling with their mortgage right now. There are requirements, and so I'm going to turn it over to Karin to share those, but please listen up if you don't learn anything from anything I've said. Listen to this lady.
Thank you, Patricia. Well, like Patricia said, there is money out there to help those that are struggling paying their bills, paying their mortgage. And that is through the Tennessee Homeowner Assistance Fund. And you'll sometimes hear it called as TNHAF or TNHAF. I mean, you know how we come up with these short names and acronyms. But this program is administered through the Tennessee Housing Development Agency. And what I'm going to do today is just show you how you can apply for these funds and what you need to do to qualify for these funds. Basically, TNHAF was created to help homeowners that were facing foreclosure or possible foreclosure due to COVID. TNHAF will pay your mortgage payments, any housing related costs from if you received a forbearance, delinquency or defaults. It would also pay your homeowners and or flood insurance, any past due HOA or COA fees, and any delinquent property taxes. So keep in mind, it's not just about mortgage payment. It opens the door for assistance for a lot of other things that you may have struggled paying during this pandemic. Now, there are some qualifications before you can access these funds. First and foremost, you have to have had a COVID-19 related hardship that occurred after January 21st, 2020. Any past due mortgage or any past due amounts cannot be more than $40,000. The household income has to be less than $119,850. And most importantly, you must own and occupy the property as your primary residence. So this can't be, something you're using to rent out. You must live and own the property. So before we get started, you have to be able to gather some items. And I suggest that before you begin the application process, you have these things in front of you because they're going to be needed throughout the application process. You're going to need your driver's license or state ID, current and previous year's tax returns with your W-2s, also any pay stubs within the last 30 days or any other payment verifications such as SSI or retirement, and your most recent mortgage statement. So, gather up all those things, sit them in front of you, and then you can begin the application process. So you're saying, like, Karin, you've given me all this information. Where am I to start? The first place you need to start is by going to the Tennessee Housing Development Agency's website. And that's the website that's posted here. As you can see, it's pretty long, and it will be posted in our chat box for you to be able to access it. But you can also access it by just Googling Tennessee Housing Development Agency, and right on the first page, it'll take you there. So when you go to this particular link, you're going to come to this web page. And this is the first page you'll see. As you can see, the Tennessee Homeowners Association Fund, there's a red button there. And from there, you would click that button to access the application. But before you do that, I want you to take note of the call center number that's highlighted below that. That number is going to be your saving grace. That is the call center's number. If at any point in time you get stuck on a part or you need to check the status of your application, you need to contact that number, and you'll see that as well on the application. So, like I said, this is what you're going to see when you first click on the link. This is the bottom. This part of the website is the bottom of the web page. And as you can see, there's a drop down button that says click here to see if your mortgage lender is participating. Do not worry if you do not see your mortgage lender. Still go ahead and apply, because what THDA is doing is they will reach out to your mortgage lender and see if they are willing to participate in the program. So they'll do that on the back end. So if you don't see your mortgage lender participating, don't just throw in the towel. Go ahead and complete the application, because there are people there who will contact them. And also on this page, which is also very important, are the frequently asked questions. As you can see, there are a list of questions on there that people have asked regarding the applying for the funds. You can go through, find your question, and an answer will be there. Also, there are the homeowner assistance fund videos. You can click on a video there and get help as well. Once you've clicked the red button, you're now going to come to what is called the sign up page. And that is where you're going to create your account. There you're going to basically put in your email address, come up with a password. And once you've created that account, it will take you to the application process. Now, once you've gotten to the application process, it's fairly simple. You're just going to complete all of the prompts, put in all of your personal information, answer all of the questions, and just follow the prompts. Just keep clicking next until you get to the final page. Once you get to the final page of the application, you're going to hit submit. And from there, you should begin to receive email confirmations and also an email from THDA stating that the application has been completed. One thing I want you to know, if you need to pause in your application and come back to it, you can hit save and then go back to the application by putting in your email address and your password. That is the purpose of creating your account. So now you've completed the application and you've gotten your confirmation emails. You're probably wondering what next. Well, once everything goes through the process, you will have to complete what is called a homeowners course. And THDA will email you the link for the homeowners course. Once you've completed that homeowners course, and if you qualify and you've met all of the criteria and you become approved, then THDA will pay directly to your mortgage lender. And at that point, you are now caught up. And I know you're like, this seems too good to be true. Yeah, there will be, like I said, some questions you may have as you're going through the application. But remember to always contact their call center. They will be able to help you get through the application. If you have any questions afterwards, as far as where you are in the process, they will be the ones to be able to help you. And also, as Patricia has stated, once you've completed it, you can also contact us at Legal Aid.
How much money does it cost, Karin?
Oh, it's free, free 99. That's the best deal of it all. All it is a few minutes of your time to get the help that you need. I mean, what better way to save your home? You don't have to go through the process of being worried about how I'm going to pay since I've been in this forbearance, or how I'm going to catch up these payments. How am I going to have to pay someone to help me get out of foreclosure? All of this is free. Even the services we provide at Legal Aid is free. So keep all of that in mind when you're going through that. I don't know if we have any questions. We kind of went through this pretty quickly.
We did. I did want to let people know that in some states and in some mortgages, you have the opportunity to redeem after the sale. We do not have that opportunity in Tennessee. So I just want to make sure that people understand that once the foreclosure happens, it is really, 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 really hard to undo it. I just undone one. It took me 4 years. So seriously, apply for those funds, do what you have to do on the front end, because it's really hard to set one aside.
And also beware of those that say they can help you save your home. Beware of those that can say, we can have this done for you in 15 days. Those are, I don't want to say they're, they can cause you more problems than you would like to have to deal with. That's why I say you have resources here. The Tennessee Housing Development Agency, not only do they have this homeowners assistance funds, they also have other resources to help homeowners. And if you get on their website, you'll definitely see all of that information. And once again, those of us here at Legal Aid can definitely help you get to those resources if needed.
And to follow up on what Karin was saying, if you live in Tennessee, you know the housing market's crazy right now. Values are up. The market is saturated. I mean, it's just insane right now with housing. And so we're seeing people trying to take advantage of others by saying, oh, I'll help you catch up all your payments. And then they're actually taking the deed to your home. Yeah. If somebody makes you an offer to save your home that sounds too good to be true, it probably is. The THDA Homeowners Assistance Fund program, that is a legitimate program. Those funds came from Congress, and THDA is administering them. The Legal Aid Society, we're here to help. We are a nonprofit organization. We are lawyers here to help. Some people are out there just to make money off you. If it sounds too good to be true, or you're signing papers and you don't know what they mean, just stop, give us a call, because 15 minutes talking to one of us might save you the loss of your home, because there are people out there to take advantage of you, and we're here to try to prevent that. So I really hope what we shared was helpful to you tonight. And Karin, I'm going to hand it back over to you. I've done enough talking.
Also, I just wanted everyone on here to remember that it's not just for if you're facing foreclosure or struggling to pay your mortgage. This fund is also to help for your property taxes, your homeowners association, because they can place a lien on your home as well. And of course, if you're behind on your property taxes, you can lose your home that way. So the money is there not just for if you're struggling to pay your mortgage. It is also there for other things that may possibly allow you to lose your home. So, just don't think, well, I kept up with my mortgage, but I'm just dealing with this little bit of stuff and I can catch that up. No, if you qualify, go ahead and apply for these funds because they're there. You have anything else, Patricia?
I do not, and we do not have any questions. So I guess that'll bring us to the end of our presentation.
Well, yes, and thank everyone who participated and watched. And keep in mind, we are here at Legal Aid Society. Our website is www.las.org, or you may contact us at our 1-800 number, and you'll see it scrolling down at the bottom of the tickler. It's 1-800-238-1443. Thank you and have a good evening.